Hello everyone and welcome to the Fintelligent Investor series by Rupai Financial Services. I'm CA Pratiksha Pai
I'm CA Sanket Naik.
and this is our 21-month-old daughter Kiara Naik.
Kela with actor.
मैं अमीर हूँ मैं अमीर हूँ बहुत पैसा है मेरे पास मैं अमीर हूँ मैं अमीर हूँ बहुत पैसा है मेरे पास
Kiara, do you know what is taxation on minors' income? Do you want to know in this video? Yes, right? The first question in this topic is who is a minor? So, a person below the age of 18 years is a minor. So, here what is the definition of a person? It is just an individual human being. So, if you have a firm or a company that is in existence for less than 18 years, then you can't say it's a minor company or a minor firm as such. So, a minor is an individual who has not yet attained the age of 18 years.
So we see a lot of cases wherein parents, grandparents, uncle, aunts may do some investments in the name of a minor. As soon as a child is born, they may say that we will keep an FD in her name or his name and so on. So what
That's
happens?
very prevalent in Indian societies.
Definitely. So what happens? Is the minor supposed to pay tax on this? How can you expect a 1-year-old child or a 6-month-old child to file his or her return? Is that practically possible?
So no, here the government and the tax act comes to our rescue. So what happens in case of a minor having an income which is taxable? Okay, so what happens is that income of the minor has to be clubbed with the parent's income. With both parents, no. With any one parent. So now then that this could have led to many disputes if it was left at this. So of course the minor's such income, the taxable income, has to be clubbed with the parent who has a higher income before clubbing such minor's income. Okay, so before clubbing the minor's income, there has to be a competition in between parents, between the mom and dad, and whosoever has the higher income, they win, but they lose by having to pay taxes of the minor as well. So it's a very double-edged competition. Okay, and I hope you all understood now that if you have a minor kid who is having any kind of an income, but what kind of income is included, what is excluded, there are a whole lot of exceptions and exemptions. So we will cover all this in this video, but the bottom line, the baseline is that where a minor has an income that is subject to taxes, then it has to be clubbed with a parent's income. Which parent's income? Here there is complete gender equality, no mom or dad or something like that. Whichever parent has a higher level of income, has higher income before including the minor's income, the minor's income will be clubbed with such parents. So is there any something that can be exempt or something in that?
Yes, so there is a provision which income tax says, there is section 10 subsection 32 which says that any income earned by the minor up to 1500 rupees, that is exempt. So if it is over and above this, it is you get up to 1500. If it is below this, you don't get extra. It is restricted to that. So if it's 1000 rupees, then up to 1000 rupees you get the exemption.
But just an observation, this amount is too low, right?
Maybe it was set in 1961.
Yeah,
I
but the
don't know.
tax slabs have been raised and have been changed and all, but these exemption amounts have not been changed. I think 1500, any and every kid anyways earns these days, because of the gifts or competitions themselves. I think the last prize itself will be 1500 at times. We find competitions where there are lakhs and lakhs of prizes. So this, I think, is something that should be upgraded now, given that India has so many talented kids.
See, in relation to competitions, it's a very valid point which you bring in. One should keep in mind that this is in relation to incomes which are not directly earned by the minor. So competitions or anything where the minor is earning income by his or her own skill, such incomes are subject to tax in our own hands, not in the parents' hands. So here you would be subject to the basic exemption limits which are anyways available to an individual.
Okay, so that brings us to an important topic, which is what is the difference between earned money and unearned money? So, of course, being in an Indian society, any guests also come to your home, while going they give any cash gifts, or even maybe sometimes gold coins or whatever, in to in the Indian society, to the kids. Okay, so there is this topic that exists, which is earned money and unearned money. So to be fair to the minors and to plug any loopholes that the adults may try to come up with, so there is this concept wherein what kind of incomes of minors can be clubbed with that of the parents. Before completely jumping into that, can you tell us what is earned money and unearned money by a minor?
Sure. So, earned money would be incomes which the minor has earned out of his or her own capacity. Let's say a minor does some kind of professional work. Let's say there is a minor who is appearing in an advertisement, or there is a minor who is an actor. So, what happens in such cases? So, this is a classic example of earned income. So, in these cases, it will not get clubbed with the parent's income.
Okay, so unearned, what is unearned money then?
Yes, so let's say now in many of the cases, like we discussed earlier, there could be family members who would have kept some FDs or some kind of investment in the name of a minor. This is very prevalent in our society. So these incomes are not earned by the minor. This will be an unearned income. In such cases, the incomes are clubbed in the hands of the parents. And it doesn't matter who gave the money, the income arising from that investment will be clubbed in the hands of the parent.
So here, this leads us to an important point, that is a very important loophole is plugged over here. So the earned money which a minor earns on the basis of his or her own talent, skill, or say manual work, or going to some competitions. We see all these kids in these dance and song competitions, and all these sports tournaments. So there they earn money, maybe on the basis of their prizes, or there are even minors maybe who have just completed 10th and taking maybe coaching for the juniors or something like that. So because of their manual labor or the work that they're doing, they're earning some money. And any minor above the age of 14 but below the age of 18, who is legitimately into some job and putting their own efforts and earning money. So what happens in this case is the income is legitimately earned by the minor, and so it is not clubbed. Whereas, where adults have in of the family or outside the family have gifted to the minor, then of course that such income will be clubbed with the parent. Here, one more point to be noted is that initially we told that the minor's income is clubbed with that parent who has a higher income before doing such clubbing. So here we have to also note that in a particular year, if a minor's income is clubbed with a parent who has a higher income, then the minor's income for all the subsequent years till they attain majority will continue to be clubbed with that parent itself, unless they approach an AO and the AO gives an opportunity of being heard to the other parent, and then the AO deems it necessary that yes, this clubbing situation can change and the minor's income can be clubbed with the other parent. So now I want to ask you here, Sanket. We are talking about all this minor's income getting clubbed and all. So what if a minor, say a 15-year-old, kid, guy or girl, whatever, she or he gets into some kind of a business and incurs a loss. So if a minor is having a loss, then how to go about it? Will that loss also be set off against any parent's income?
I don't think there is any provision prescribed in the tax law. And in the absence of any provision, I don't think we should take any adventurous decisions like this. But the
Yes.
reason also could probably be that because a minor is not a person who is competent to enter into a contract. That could be one of the reasons why they have not put anything over here. Because if a minor cannot enter into a contract, how will he do a business?
Correct. That's true. That's a very logical way of looking at it. That's right. So here, when we are talking about a parent whose income is higher and stuff like that, this gives rise to another question: what if the minor's parents are divorced? Okay, in that case, how to go about the minor's income, taxation of minor's income?
Yes, so the earlier provisions which you are referring to, this applies where the marriage is existing. Let's say the marriage doesn't exist in case of a divorce. In that case, the income is clubbed in the hand of the parent with whom the child is. So, who has the custody of the child. So, in that parent's hand, the income will be clubbed. So, this brings one more query. So, let's say there's a very unfortunate situation wherein the parents, both the parents of the minor, are not there. So there are no parents. So in that case, what happens to the income of a minor?
So, where the parents, both the parents of the minor are not alive, then what happens is the minor's income is not clubbed with anyone. Okay, it is not that the minor's income will be clubbed with a guardian or something. No, the minor's income will not be clubbed with anyone, but a separate return is filed in for that minor. Okay, so here again, uh, the law also prescribes that if a minor is suffering from any disability mentioned under section 80U, then such minor's income need not be clubbed with either of the parents, and it's taxed in his own name. So can a minor have his or her own PAN card?
Yes, absolutely. A minor can have his or her PAN card irrespective of whether the income is getting clubbed or not. Believe it or not, you can have it, and this is one of the requirements for many of the investments which you want to do in your minor's name. We can discuss about it, it may take a lot of time by itself, so we can have a separate video for this to discuss about minor investments, what can be done, and what are the options available.
Also, one interesting point I would like to add in over here is that when a minor turns 18 in the middle of the year, because everyone doesn't have a birthday on March 31st, so of course some or the other year the minor will turn into a major. Then what to do for that particular year? Because once a person is above 18 years of age, there's no clubbing. This doesn't come into picture. So if when a minor is turning into a major in the middle of a year, then how to go about it?
I think they have mentioned that until he becomes a major, the income still gets clubbed. It's only any incomes earned after he becomes a major which gets taxed in his or her own hands.
Okay, so say you're saying like if a minor has a birthday, say on 2nd December, which is my Kiara's birthday, by the way. So if a minor has a birthday on 2nd December, then in the year in which Kiara is going to turn 18, she'll be turning 18 on 2nd of December, but we'll be calculating the income till 31st March. So whatever she has earned till 2nd of December will be clubbed with the parent, he or me, and whatever is earned after 2nd of December till 31st of March, that will be clubbed in her own, that won't be clubbed, that will be taxed in her own name, as she will be a major for that period of time, correct?
Yes.
So here we were talking about earned money and unearned money, if you know. So we told that whatever the minor earns out of his own skills, talents, and manual work comes under earned money. And then there is unearned money, that is majorly all the gifts that the minor gets. So how will these gifts be taxed? So firstly, gifts received in the form of cash or bank, like any sum of money, not some gift in like a property or any other gifts, but gifts which are cash or bank. How to tax this? So first of all, when such cash gift is given by a relative, Relative means what? You can't tell that he is my mother's brother's wife's this that, because in Indian society everyone is a relative, right? So we have huge WhatsApp groups, and seriously you don't know whether some people are kid or majors or whatever it is. So definitely, what is relative? Relative as per the definition given in Income Tax Act, that is either the spouse of the individual, which is highly unlikely in minor case, but still I'm just telling you, spouse of the individual, or brother or sister of the individual, or brother or sister of the spouse of the individual, or brother or sister of either of the parents of individual. Very huge probability in minor incomes. Okay, and any lineal ascendant or descendants, forget descendant, but of course lineal ascendants of the individual, again very high probability with grandparents gifting the kids. And any lineal ascendant or descendant of the spouse, not relevant, but still, the major relevant part in this is either the brother or sister of individual. Say an older brother or sister of a minor kid gets their first job and decides to give something to the minor, or siblings of parents, either parents and grandparents. Okay, so these people come in the definition of relative. So brother or sister of individual, again it's not cousin brother, Rakhi brother, this brother, that brother, everything we have in India. Nothing of that sort. So it is own brother or sister. Okay, so when these people gift sum of money, cash, bank, whatever, to a minor, then it is completely exempt, because that's the rule that applies not only to minors but also to majors, to everyone. Okay, cash or bank amount received from relatives is totally exempt. Now, when someone other than the relative, someone who falls outside the definition of relative, is gifting something to the minor, cash or bank, not something, sum of money, okay, because we are specifically dealing about sum of money over here. So, some non-relative, when they are gifting, then, very interesting, then if this sum of money is less than 50,000, okay, or equal to or less than 50,000, then it is completely exempt. However, if it exceeds 50,000, if it is more than 50,000, then the entire amount is subject to tax. And how it is subject to tax? Of course, by clubbing it with the parent in case of a minor, as we have spoken till now. So, a minor getting total cash bank gifts from non-relatives in a year, that is 50,000, then they don't have to pay taxes on that. But the moment it becomes 50,001 rupee, so that Indian custom of giving 1 rupee extra, no, it's going to be very expensive on the parents of the minors. So instead of 20, we give 21, instead of 100, we give 101. So all those uncles and aunties and non-relatives, if they want to take a panga with their family, just gift 50,001 rupees rather than giving 50,000, and that will be subject to tax. So that is the difference that 1 rupee will make. So this is how it is. Any amount from relatives is tax free, but the moment someone from a non-relative category is gifting you even 1 rupee additional to 50,000, then the entire amount is subjected to taxes. So this refers to aggregate of all sum of money received from non-relatives. So 10 aunts and 10 uncles so 20 people give a total of 2,500 each. Still, it is not subject to taxes. Uncles and aunts, in the sense, those who don't fall under the relative definition, those people. But the moment the aggregate of these cash sums exceeds 50,000, then the entire amount is taxable.
So all of you would be very happy to see now that, oh, it's only money which is received is taxable. We'll get gold or we'll get something and some objects and may not be subject to tax. Well, sorry to say that's not how it works. This is just one part of the definition, what she mentioned. What it also says is that any immovable property, if it is gifted from a non-relative, that is also taxable. Again, the same limits what she described, 50,000. But what we have to do is we have to see whether the fair market value for immovable property, come on, everything will be above 50,000. But let's say other than immovable property, let's say anything like gold, jewelry, or anything for that matter, which is anything. So where what happens is here also the same rules count: 50,000, below 50,000 and above 50,000, whatever she explained. But even in these cases, it would be subject to taxation if it is received from a non-relative. If it's from a relative, again you would be not subject to tax, whatever may be the amount. And relative strictly as per the definition. My cousin brother is not going to be my relative because he's not part of the definition. So let's say an immovable property is transferred by a parent to a minor child. So what happens? So the earlier explanation about higher income doesn't apply in these cases. There's a separate section which governs this. What it says is that for inadequate consideration, any transfer of property done to a minor child, the income from such properties gets clubbed in the hands of the person who has transferred it. So it doesn't matter if the husband or the wife has a higher income. All that matters is that the property has been transferred to a minor child and such income will be clubbed in their hands.
So, in a case where a minor has earned some amount of money through their own special talent or skill and such things, and such money has been deposited in their own name in a bank account, and say that bank account is giving interest. So, now which will be clubbed with the parent and which won't be? Let's see. So, when a minor earns on the basis of his special talent, that amount is his earned money and will not be clubbed with the parent. However, when such earned money is deposited and starts earning an interest income, then such interest income is unearned money. It becomes unearned money, and that unearned money, such interest portion, will be clubbed with the parent of the minor. Also, one very important point over here is we saw that when a minor receives any sum of money through relatives, then such amount is not subject to tax. But when they receive an amount of money or any gifts from non-relatives, then whatever exceeds 50,000 is subject to tax. Now here there'll be an issue. People will think that anyway, since the minor's income has to be clubbed with the parent's income, so from what angle should we see the definition of relative? Like, since my daughter's income may be clubbed with him or me, so should we say a daughter's income is clubbed with her father? So should they see the definition of relative from the perspective of father? That is, for him, his father's brother is a relative. But for his daughter, it will be her grandfather's brother who doesn't come into the relatives definition. So from which perspective should we see? So there is a clarification that, so I'm giving that clarification in this video, that the definition of relative should be seen from the perspective of the person receiving the gift, that is the minor in our case, and not with the person with whom it is getting clubbed. That person is irrelevant as far as the definition of relative is concerned. So if the relative falls within the definition of relative from the perspective of the minor, then the exemption or not comes into picture.
So there are certain incomes which are exempt. For example, interest on PPF or interest on Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. So these accounts could be in the name of the minor, but it really doesn't matter where it gets clubbed because it's anyways exempt. So you need not bother about taxability of these things or in whose hands this has to be taxed. They are directly exempt.
So we saw the instances where a minor has to pay his own taxes without the income being clubbed with the parents. That is where minor has earned the income out of his or her own skill or talent or manual work done purely by the minor, or where the minor has lost parents, or where the minor is suffering from a disability as mentioned under section 80U. So here, how to file the return of the minor. So the guardian has to log in with their own PAN card, and then go to my account, and then go to my account and say register as a representative. And once you click on that, then the category that you have to choose is minor. So you are registering as a representative of the minor, and then you have to proceed to file the return of income by submitting the proof of income of the minor. And once you submit the proof of income, you can go ahead and file the return. The IT department will review this and allow you to file, and then you can go ahead and file the return of income just as any like any other normal individual person who has attained majority. In the same manner, you can file the return of income of the minor. So this more or less covers a lot of things that are required under minor taxation, minor's income and its taxation. Thank you everyone for watching. And if you have any doubts and require any clarification, please post it in the comments, and we'll be happy to provide clarifications.
Tata. Hi. See you.